Okay, starting to paint this Pliny bottle here. And first thing I like to do is just kind of decide where the midpoint of the bottle will be. And on this one, I think I decided that I didn't want the bottle as wide as I originally painted it. So came back in and redid it. And next thing about using a ruler is you can see exactly how where the middle is, I should say, of the bottle there. So went ahead and did that. And then just blocking in the background. I usually like to start with the background when I'm painting an object, especially a single object. And yeah, I'll then start with the highest contrast, which is the bottle there. And I'm painting fairly thin in the beginning here, just slowly building up the layers of gouache here, just blocking in all the major shapes there, treating every shape or every part of the painting as a shape, like the shadows are a shape, the background is a shape, all the different parts of the bottle and the label and all that, they're all shapes too. As I put in the darkness of the bottle, I decided that the background needs to go a little darker as well. Putting in the darker parts of the bottle itself. And one thing I do like to use is Neutral Tint watercolor, because the thing about gouache is that it doesn't quite get as dark as it should. Well, I say should, but because of all the additives in gouache to make it more opaque, that then dulls and ups the lightness of even the darkest colors. So I instead use Neutral Tint watercolor to get an even darker value than I would with gouache alone. It's not something I do all the time, but when I'm dealing with values that are really dark and there needs to be a lot of variation in those darks, then yeah, I will use a different medium to mix into it. And yeah, don't worry, gouache and watercolor are fully interchangeable unless you're using, of course, acrylic gouache, which is kind of its own medium. But either way, if you're using just traditional gouache and traditional watercolor, you can go ahead and not worry about if the mediums are going to mix or not. Now putting in a little bit of the reflection. Kind of refining the edges of the bottle there. There's a little bit of reflected light in the edges there. So putting that in. And the thing about gouache is as it dries, you'll notice that the values can shift on you. And the best way to avoid that is to not use as much water. It's a really delicate balance to find that middle ground between having enough water and having enough pigment. That's something you can just observe over time. yeah, it takes some practice there, and you'll find that optimal ratio where the paint is thick enough so that it won't shift on you too much as the water dries, and fluid enough that you can create large patches of color with it. Putting in some of the label detail at this point. The way I do lettering in gouache, or really painting in general, is I treat every part of the letter as its own shape and paint it like a shape, and let the abstract shapes that create a letter be what I paint, rather than trying to draw it like I'm creating a signature or something like that, or like I'm writing text. So at this point, I realize that the background needed more substantial work on it, so I'm going in a little bit thicker paint, painting around the bottle itself. Edges here and there, adding in a few more reflected lights and detail. And notice that in certain parts, to get that real roundness of the bottle, I have to come in a little bit darker tones around the edges there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Here's the finished painting. And yeah, if you guys want to learn a lot more about gouache, I have a course on Sentient Academy right now that you can sign up for. And yeah, just go to sentientacademy.com. Alright.